So here it is. This is the hammered to bounce device. Costs about 20 bucks at AOA. You can go and order it online. I walked in there and grabbed it. So it looks like it's just a piece of plastic made out of Teflon or Delrin. You can see it has a little slot cut in there. That actually goes, that's where the hammer pin slides into. So it's going to actually slide into, the hammer pin is going to have to be inserted after you slide this into the breech. Okay. So the hammer to bounce device is going to slide on here. We have to take the breech off. Make sure you degas the gun first, safety first. But there, you notice there's an in plug here on your Benjamin Discovery. And the instruction says down here, you got a couple of options. One is just to remove the plug altogether because it's going to limit how far you can pull back the cocking handle. So if you leave that plug in, it's probably not going to cock all the way. So they're recommending that you can leave it off, or you can take that little plug there and grind it down a little bit so that it can, until it cocks. So I don't really want to leave that part open, so I'm going to take it off and grind it down just so it keeps the dust out. And then you're going to want to put a little bit of lube on it. This is all I got right now, but usually I'd use silicone grease, but that's all I got right now. That'll work. It's not inside the internals where the air is, so it's just on it. It's just lubing the bolt. And also says on instructions not to dry fire this gun too many times, or I probably won't even dry fire it anymore. But it says it could actually damage this hammer to bounce device if you dry fire it, so make note of that. Also, on the 2240, it doesn't have that in plug. So you don't have to worry about that on the 2240. But on the 2250, on the Benjamin Discovery, probably with most of the steel breeches have that little plug on there, so you're gonna have to modify that plug just to get it to cock. So a couple of things you should make a note of before you want to commit doing this. I didn't even realize it till afterwards, so kind of made me worried a little bit. But after I've seen just, you know, what to do afterwards or the options, I think it'll turn out all right. Also on this, these instructions, the pictures are pretty blurry. I don't know if you can see that really good, but it's not very well in focus. It's all pixelated, so make sure you're familiar with this gun from the get-go. You know, maybe you already took it apart before. You know where everything goes, but if you don't know where everything goes, you know, you might have a buddy help you or check out some YouTube videos on how to do it. But I'll try to show you as much as I can. All right. Okay, here's the hammer to bounce device. We're going to insert it with the opening towards the back of the breech, with the hammer, with the bolts probe still in there. So I'm going to drop it in here, and it needs to line up with the cocking pin. So you can see in that hole there, I put it in. Just going to slide it up a little bit until it lines up with the cocking hole. The cocking pin hole there. And then that's going to interface with that, and that is the cocking pin. It's attached to the hammer. It's got the hammer spring behind it. See, the cocking pin is in there. The hammer moves freely. One thing you got to make a note, this thing will come out. It's going to be a little tricky from my experiences taking it out. And then you want to make sure you have the transfer port in there, and then that lines up with the transfer port hole here on the breech and the cocking pin. So we got that hammer to bounce device inside the breech there. I'm going to line it up with the cocking tube. And one thing you want to make sure is that sucker's in there, that pin, the cocking pin. So what I usually do is I push it in and reseat it. And that'll help me get a little bit, make this install a little easier. because it can get a little tricky if you don't have everything lined up and you get frustrated and pretty soon you're going to be burning down the house. There, I finally got the hammer to bounce device installed, and let me tell you, if you have an extended pellet probe like mine, it's going to be in a pain in the butt. So you need to put in the breech screw that's underneath the bolt. You have to kind of slightly screw it in, and the hammer pin, make sure you seat it in from the top. As you can see, I left off the end cap there, so it's just a hole in the back. Really nothing I could do about that because the end pin, the end cap cover is too long. It won't cock if I left it in. And it says that in the instructions here too as well, that you have two alternatives. You can just omit the plug entirely. It says making the gun a little lighter. Yeah, right. That thing ain't gonna make a difference. Or you can cut or grind the front end off the plug, making room for the HDD. And I was thinking about that, and it's like, there's no way that's gonna work. So make sure you want to commit to this mod before you do it. It's gonna be a pain, but it's in. All I have to do is gas it up, take it out to the range, and we'll see if it actually works. If not, Rich is gonna hear from me.